Mediators are working behind the scenes to try to secure a ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. This week, the U.S. president suggested an agreement was imminent. In response, Hamas has downplayed his optimism, saying it had yet to receive the proposal. The U.S. State Department, however, remains hopeful.
Our goal is to achieve a deal to reach a humanitarian pause and the release of hostages as soon as possible. Certainly, we would welcome getting one by this weekend. What I can say about the overall progress is that we made significant progress towards an agreement last week when we had officials from the United States government engaging in the region. We continue to pursue further progress this week. American officials across the government continue to be engaged on this question. We are trying to push this deal over the finish line. We do think it's possible.
Basem Naim is Hamas head of political and international relations. He's joining us live now from Istanbul. Thank you very much indeed for being with us, sir. Is Hamas as optimistic as US President Joe Biden and the State Department that some sort of ceasefire deal could be reached by next Monday?
We in the movement, we were always optimistic to achieve an end of this slaughter and aggression against our people. But to be honest and to be related to the reality, I think based on the ideas and thoughts we have received after the meeting in Paris too, the gap is still wide, and we have to discuss a lot of points with the mediators. And if the Americans want to be really optimistic, they have to end this double standard games. They talk on one tongue for stopping the aggression or for achieving a ceasefire and avoiding broadening the conflict into the region, but at the same time they are using the veto in the Security Council to reach a ceasefire. They are approving $14 billion for Israel. They are securing Israel with more ammunition. I think more or less I can say that this optimism is not related to the reality on the ground, and it is more part of the internal American politics in the year of the election.
I know that Hamas has said that it has yet to receive any sort of proposal for a ceasefire. There have, of course, been a lot of leaked details, apparently, about some sort of ceasefire. Given what you know about the possibility of what might be out there, is there anything that Hamas would be prepared to be flexible on?
Hamas have showed from the beginning great flexibility to achieve a ceasefire, because we know every added day to this slaughter means 100 to 150 new civilians, Palestinians killed. People are in the northern part of Gaza Strip are dying because of starvation. We know exactly what does it mean. Our families are still there in the Gaza city and in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. But at the same time, this flexibility cannot be at the cost of our main and strategic goals. For example, we are looking not for a humanitarian pause or a humanitarian ceasefire. We are looking for a final, total, comprehensive ceasefire. We are looking for a total withdrawal of the Israeli army, Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. We are looking for allowing all Palestinians really to move from the south to the north and vice versa. We cannot accept keeping our people, 1.5 million Palestinians in the southern part of Gaza Strip, kept hostages under the Israeli policy or within part of the Israeli internal political games between the right and the left. Therefore, this is the baseline where we can build on. When it comes to the prisoner deal or to the rebuilding plans, yes, there is space for flexibility about the numbers and about the phases, phase 1, phase 2, about how big, how huge the operation of rebuildings or resuscitating of the people in Gaza Strip, how can we do it? But when it comes to the ceasefire, final and total declared ceasefire, when it comes to total withdrawal, and when it comes to the allowing the people, Palestinians from the south to the north, to move freely without any break conditions, I think this is the red line where we cannot cross.
You mentioned the rebuilding process, and I want to ask you about the future of Gaza, particularly at the point at which this war eventually does end. I understand that Hamas and Fatah officials are currently in Moscow for talks. Part of that, I believe, is a process to try to find some sort of process of moving forward, some sort of governing process for Gaza. What would Hamas hope to achieve out of those talks, given that so far there is a lot of international pressure to have Hamas not involved in any future for Gaza?
First of all, I have to reassure everyone that Hamas is not looking or putting a condition to be part or not to be part. This is not the main question. The main question that we have always worked hardly, and we have shown a lot of flexibility to reach Palestinian unity and Palestinian reconciliation. If the Palestinian division before October 7th was a choice, I think after October 7th, it is not a choice. It is a must to reach a unity and flexibility. It is very harmful for our future goals as Palestinians to get rid of the occupation, to achieve our political goals of an independent state, to achieve a unity. Therefore, we have proposed a unity government or a consensus government or a technocrat government. It should not be that Hamas part of that. The main thing is that this government is acceptable from all Palestinians, representing all Palestinians, acceptable from the international community, and can perform the task, which means the rebuilding process, which means the reunification of the institutions between Gaza and Ramallah, and preparing for comprehensive elections, political elections at all levels. I mean the national elections, the presidential elections, and the PLC election. Therefore, we hope that Moscow talks can push these goals a step forward.
You mentioned the level of devastation that has happened in Gaza since October the 7th, and of course the numbers who have died as a result of the Israeli action. With all that has happened to Palestinians since October the 7th and the Hamas-led incursion into southern Israel, how much Palestinian support can Hamas rely on, particularly in Gaza and the West Bank?
I think Hamas on October 7th have behaved and acted in accordance with our national goals of resisting the occupation, looking how can we get rid of this occupation, how can we break this 17 years old suffocating siege, how can we get our independent sovereign state, and how can we guarantee the right of return for Palestinians who has been displaced for years forcefully. But at the same time, what we are looking for after this aggression, we are ready to participate in a comprehensive process to run or to organize a democratic, transparent, free election, and the Palestinians have all the right to choose their leadership, to choose their political track, and I think that all the polls have been done by neutral, independent bodies after October 7th, including the poll done by Dr. Khalil Shikaki 100 days after October 7th, have shown that 90% of the Palestinians are supporting the resistance, are supporting the act of October 7th, and looking for serious steps to reach their final national goals of self-sovereignty and independent state. But at the end, again, it is not the question of Hamas in the government or not. The question is how can our people achieve their main national goals?
Basem Naim, Hamas head of political and international relations. We appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Please.